Today, I'm going to tell you why it is okay to say gay in the classroom. Emma sits in her kindergarten class reading yet another book. In the book, the main character has a mom and a dad, just like all the other books they read. But Emma has two moms. She raises her hand and asks the teacher if she can bring a book to class that has a family that looks like hers. The teacher's face instantly drops. She shushes Emma and tells her they're not allowed to read books like that. Emma has never felt ashamed of her family before, but now she thinks there must be something wrong with them. This is exactly the type of scenario that many LGBTQ families fear they will soon see happening to their kids in classrooms. Many states are following Florida's lead when it comes to matters such as LGBTQ and conversations surrounding the topic in the classroom, including Georgia. Our society has over-sexualized gender identity and sexual orientation. Teaching children that families come in all different types is not indoctrinating them. In evaluating why bills like this are even being passed, we must first evaluate what lawmakers are trying to pass, why parents are pushing for them to be passed, and the possible negative effects that these bills could have. Before judging these bills based off social media claims and nicknames that have been given, we must first understand what exactly was written in these bills. What all are lawmakers trying to control in classrooms? Lawmakers are trying to control what they deem as appropriate to talk about in the classroom. One of the main things that lawmakers have deemed as inappropriate is being gay. The bill that everyone's talking about is called the Don't Say Gay bill. But according to the Florida House of Representatives webpage, the bill is actually called the Parental Rights and Education Bill. This bill is meant to reinforce the fundamental rights of parents to make decisions regarding the upbringing and control of their children. According to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution posted on March 10th of 2022, just days before a legislative deadline, Georgia Republican senators created Senate Bill 613, which was modeled after Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. Many people claimed that they knew this bill wouldn't be passed so late in the legislative period, but the simple fact that it already exists could lead to much more serious conversations surrounding this particular topic next legislative period. The proposed Georgia bill is slightly different than the Florida bill in that it singles out private schools, which they claim are inappropriately discussing gender identity with children. According to the National Review website posted on March 10th of 2022, the bill specifically targets private schools that have been funded through the state's Gold Scholarship Program. Republicans on the campaign trail are already trying to use these bills to back their campaigns. One of the Republican senators that proposed the bill in Georgia, Cardin Summers, stated that you can't use woke philosophy while using taxpayer funding. This statement makes it out as if all taxpayers have the same thought processes when they don't. One might wonder what exactly has changed to make these laws come about. LGBTQ has always been around, and talking about the topic in schools hasn't been that big of an issue thus far. But why now? Why are parents pushing so hard for these changes? After the passing of the bill in Florida, Governor DeSantis stated, children can now go to school to get an education, not an indoctrination. How exactly is teaching children that some kids have two mommies any different than teaching kids that some other kids are raised by their grandparents? It's simply teaching an acceptance of other ways of life. Indoctrination is defined as a process of a person or group accepting a set of beliefs uncritically. People that believe their way of thinking is the only way and being so against their children being exposed to the idea that some kids might have two mommies or daddies and that's totally okay, that they have to create these bills are the people that are actually indoctrinating their children. Personally, when trying to understand why parents are pushing so hard for these bills to be made, their personal beliefs do not outweigh the risks. What problems could arise from making these changes in the classroom? Creating bills like this could harm the mental health of students that identify as LGBTQ. According to the Human Rights Campaign website posted on August 26th of 2020, LGBTQ youth suffer from higher health and suicide risks than their peers based on data founded by the CDC. When researching this further, I found on the trevorproject.org that LGBTQ youth are actually more than 4 times as likely than their peers to attempt suicide. In their 2021 national survey, it was found that 42% of LGBTQ youth attempted suicide in the previous year. It's also found that there are much lower attempted suicide rates among LGBTQ youth who have at least one LGBTQ affirming space. Not every LGBTQ kid has a home that is safe for them. By trying to erase this from school, you're putting those kids in more danger. They lose a safe space to go ask for help. Another reason not to pass these bills is that Georgia is already experiencing a teacher shortage. According to educationworld.com, the state of Georgia is expected to hire 14,000 teachers, but Georgia colleges are only expecting to graduate 30,500 students. On NBCnews.com, you can find interviews done with Florida's teachers Nicolette Solomon and Robert Tholender. Tholender had complaints made against him by parents just for stating to his sixth grade students that he was married to a man. The school did back him, but he stated that it felt like he wasn't trusted anymore because there was something wrong with him for being gay. Nicolette Solomon said the passing of the bill was the straw that broke the camel's back, and they both quit their jobs. By passing these bills, Georgia could see an even greater teacher shortage. I myself changed my major from education because of bills like this. Creating these bills does no one any good, other than those that like control and are uncomfortable with the normalization and acceptance of LGBTQ. Today we've discussed 3 critical areas of evaluation. First, we discussed what lawmakers are trying to change in school. Second, we discussed why parents might be pushing so hard for those changes. And finally, we discussed why those changes would be bad ideas. Children should be able to sit in class and feel acceptance and love. Not every parent is a safe space for a child. Teachers should be a safe space for students to go to be heard. And if they feel they're unable to help them, they should be able to direct them in the direction of how to get help. If you find yourself believing the same, contact the Georgia Board of Education. People who are afraid of change are simply creating these bills for that reason. They're afraid. They're afraid of not being able to indoctrinate their children into believing that there's something wrong with being gay. There's not.